The cameras work, the lighting works, computer issues. So we are getting our computer issues up. John Salve has just said going. So if you are watching this service later, as about 2/3 of our members do, over the comfort of pajamas or a good bottle of wine or a glass of chocolate milk, or in your slippers or whatever you wear to bed, or when you wake up in the morning to join us, you're wondering why I'm talking like this. If you are with us live, you know why I'm rambling. I'm rambling because our service is about 7-8 minutes late. Cameras were working, everything else was working. All systems go. The computer was down. Who knows, right? You know, when you don't use things half the week or all week because the building's closed, things have a way of happening. So I hope this is going out, because I want to thank John Salve. I want to thank Jeff Kaser, who is a few hundred feet away at least. So John has to run back and forth. Our music director, I want to thank Mark Sloter, who was available via phone. It was a group effort. I was not involved. I was up here talking for the last 5 minutes because I didn't know when I was going out. So if you're watching this at another time, you're wondering why I'm starting this way. If you've spent the last 7 minutes trying to get on, then you knew that we had technical difficulties. So we are up. I want to thank Jeff again. Jeff, extra guacamole for you whenever we're eating again. But on a serious note, I want to thank Jeff and Carl and Mark and John. And what? Doesn't seem to be on again. John's talking again. Is it just not on Facebook, or it's not on anything? Oh, well, we're working on it. We're working on it. I wonder if are we recording though? Oh. It is working. So right now, if you haven't, John, we're good? Yes. So anybody who's watching this right now is either turned off, or if you're my brother, you're just laughing your head off. But I do want to say my brother got me this tie. This is not the way I intended to start the service, but while he's laughing at me, he's enjoying this shout out. This poor tie has not seen the light of day in months, so I was thinking of my brother tonight, who gave me a great movie reference. We're starting. If you heard this for the last 5 minutes, I apologize. We're going to get moving. When we come to our Mishaberach later, we want to include the name of Hans Grimm and his son. Hans' son is not feeling well. Doesn't mean it's the virus, but Hans wanted to be careful tonight. So our wonderful pianist, who just brings the joy of Shabbat into our lives, is not with us, but we include him and his family in our prayers for healing, which we're not doing yet, but I wanted to make sure I saw it. I want to thank John, who braves the roads of Fort Worth to join us every week. If you were on our Kabbalat Shabbat candle lighting, you know that he's grateful to be here,
That's
to
right.
get out of the house. But I really am glad to see him here. So, you know, best laid plans. But as I said, if you're streaming at another time, you wonder what's going on. If you have been watching the last 10 minutes, you know that we have had computer difficulty. And again, I want to thank all of our MRJ assistants and workers who make this service work. I want to share a few thoughts with you tonight. I don't want to talk forever, except to say most of my talking is in the first few minutes. But there are a few important things I need to share with you. The first is, many of you ask about opening. Not that you want us to, you want to know what's going on. I want to remind you to be safe. I want to remind you that Tarrant County has had some of its highest numbers. I know you could say roll the dice, but it's at its highest numbers in the last 3-4 days. Texas has, Texas, been number 2 in the country every single day for 2 weeks in cases of coronavirus. Sometimes it's Dallas, sometimes it's Harris County. Tarrant seems to run a good second or third. That's not something I'm excited about. Sometimes California has more, sometimes Florida has more, but we run a good second. I know that a colleague of mine at a nearby temple, who will go nameless, was told by a well-intended, some caring members. My gym is open, my movie theater is open. I want my temple to be open. I understand your loneliness. I understand your pain. I don't judge your choices. I don't judge those who protest and expose themselves, even if I'm not sure about that choice. I don't judge those who are going to rallies. I don't judge those who need to eat out. Just please be careful. Every one of us is going to make our own decisions, how we help the economy, how we help each other. We have to answer to another authority, okay? And that authority is meeting your needs of isolation while being safe and being role models. So we're going to try to figure it out. There is a subcommittee on opening. It is made up of past presidents, doctors, and lawyers. Jen tends to be past presidents who are doctors and lawyers, and nurses. So just know they're going to be opening. But the question is not when are we opening. The question is what is reopening and when. Certainly nothing in the next few weeks. We are peaking. We are closed when Texas was safe. It doesn't make sense to open when Texas is not safe. I'm not judging others, but I sense your loneliness. If you have a friend who is alone, who is isolated, stuck in an assisted living center and can't even get to a window, tell us. Some of you have been wonderful. As hard as our caring committee tries, people fall through the cracks. Some of our volunteers who are supposed to call are dealing with their own tensions and anxieties and pressures, and they forget they're human. And so people who should have been called are not being called. If you know someone who's not being called, you know who you are. You left us messages at the temple the last 2-3 weeks. I thank you. When I get those messages, I call right away. If there are people who have front yards, I will go to their front yard and visit them. If they live in a center and they can't come out the front door, several of them have been exposed, I will, when it's safe, deliver something to their center for them to pick up later. Whatever it is, we will do it. We have a wonderful caring committee. Tell us you're our partners. There is a scene in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, repeated in many, many films, where Robert Redford and Paul look at each other, Newman look at each other, and they go, ready, ready, and they jump out facing the Mexican army. It's a wonderful, exciting scene, but then they die. So those kinds of moments are great in movies. I'm not saying you're going to die. I'm saying you can roll the dice. We're not going to facilitate that. But since you want information, and a letter will be coming to the congregation, in time we'll be communicating more. The question is not when are we opening. The question is going to be what is opening and when, right? The risks to a service singing are different than meeting outside in the courtyard, or sitting in a front yard, or having a conversation outside. We're going to weigh each of those decisions separately and differently so we feel good about the risks we're asking you to take. So that was a sermon you didn't expect. Now we can take a deep breath. I'm going to talk to you a couple times tonight and try not to make it too long. But the first thing I'd really like to share with you is... hopefully I have the right notes. Yes. The first thing I want to share with you is a word about the last week. And that word is, those thoughts are about Ellen Mack, very briefly. And we'll talk about someone else who passed away at Kaddish. Ellen Mack passed away earlier this week. There was a private funeral on the beginning of the week, on Monday, a wife of Ted Mack. And there will be a larger memorial service when it is safe to be together. Ellen Mack was the educator of this temple for 14 years. I think the temple's first full-time educator. Ellen Mack with her husband, Ted, he was a past president. Ellen was the youth group advisor with Ted for 2 years, as Rabbi Mecklenburger said many years ago. Ellen Mack was committed to life and light and love and children. She left us many things. Here are 2 of the things that Ellen Mack left us. One of those things was this Torah cover. And there it is. This Torah cover, make sure things are still working after this. This Torah cover, which says Eitz Chaim Hid, is a tree of life, which she created through needlepoint. Both of the Torah scrolls in our chapel were made by Ellen. Ellen's not with us, but these scrolls are. One of them, this one, is on the Holocaust Torah scroll. This temple was given as a commitment to memory, but also to the future in life. And for the next 4 weeks, while we remember Ellen, during the time of Shloshim, this scroll will be here in our sanctuary instead of its usual place. So that's the first thing Ellen gave us. The second thing Ellen gave us is these Shabbat candlesticks, a sign, thank you, John, of life and hope. And I wanted you to know that. So as we prepare for the lighting of Shabbat candles, I wanted you to see that Ellen lives on. Ellen lives on in the values of Torah. Ellen lives on in our past, in the stories of our people, in the education she taught, in the hundreds of children whose lives were transformed because they knew her. And every single Friday night, Ellen lives on when her gift brings us Shabbat light. And we are indebted to her and to Ted and to her family. As we prepare for the candle lighting, I want you to take a moment and find that place. Now, maybe that place is a memory of Ellen if you knew her. Maybe that place is a way in which you bring yourself light in a challenging week. Maybe that place is sweetness. What is your sweetness? How can you let go of the week? You can feel it in your shoulders. You can feel it in your legs. You can feel it in your body. How do you let go of that and bring in sweetness? So maybe it's a glass of wine. Maybe it's a box of chocolate or a chocolate. Maybe it's a piece of fruit. Maybe it's taking off your shoes and just stretching your feet and feeling your toes on the carpet, something that's a no-no when we're all meeting together. But you can do it now. You can just pull off those socks and shoes, feel your feet on the ground. If you have a dog, maybe that dog or that cat will come and figure out what you're doing and come by your feet. Or maybe you'll just feel the ground, feel the joy of being alive. Take a moment for the sweetness, the life of Shabbat as we light Shabbat candles.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the lights of Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav, Veshivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen.
Amen. Take that Shabbat breath. As we prepare for candles, a reminder, if you have a prayer book at home, we're on 123. If you're using that flip book, which you don't have to, it's 141. And next week, we finally have an easy working link. So starting next Friday, I won't have to keep saying the two different page numbers. You'll be able to just go right there. So new set of page numbers next week, new link. As we prepare for Shabbat wine, we note that the heavens and the earth were finished on the seventh day. God finished the work that God had been doing and blessed the seventh day and rested from all the work that God had done, declaring it holy.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kosho be'ahava uvratzon hinkilanu zigaron l'maaseh v'reshit כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא קודש, זכר לציון מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מן כל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנקלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן. לחיים. And for those of you that have challah or any type of bread or are about to have dinner, we say blessing. Join me in the motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Te'avon, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much, John. It's great to be here with you. I know some of you are wishing, hoping that you can soon be back. I know others of you are truly enjoying the time at home. So just know that we're thinking of you and looking at you. I don't know which camera. Jeff Kaitzer is a magnificent streamer. He really is. So Jeff, if it's this camera, Shabbat Shalom. If it's this camera, Shabbat Shalom. We're just getting in the groove of things tonight and letting you know we're thinking about you wherever you are. I wanted to share a few minutes with you before we continue with our service as we prepare for Mishaberach, which is the prayer of healing and wholeness for people who are physically, spiritually, and emotionally sick. And so a few thoughts on this Shabbat right now. Last week at the Torah reading, I spoke to you a little bit about the challenges of this time, the challenges of this country. I talked to you a little about our role up here on this hill, both literally and figuratively, and our role as Jewish people. I want to talk about that a little more. Today is Juneteenth. Another year I'd have to tell you a lot about it. This year I don't. Amidst the chaos and the pain, we know a lot more than we ever did. So something good has come about that. The quick version is that January 1, 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation. It takes till June 19th, 2 years later, for Union Major General Gordon Granger to say, "You're free," in Galveston, to read the Emancipation Proclamation. It takes till 1870 to give black people the right to vote. It takes a while. It takes a while to get there. In our Torah portion this week, Shlach Lecha, a quick shout out there. The Jews are wandering through the desert. They get to the promised land on the other side. There are 12 spies who are sent over to scout it. 10 say, "We're not ready." 2 say, "You can do it," Caleb and Joshua, and so they don't get to go. When they realize they've made a mistake, the Jews, they try anyway, and it doesn't work out well. So this is the week of chaos. This is the week of wandering. This is the week of realizing you're not ready and thinking about who you need to be ready to get there. So this Torah portion has a lot to say as well. I don't want to get too much into it except to point it out, because I want to point a couple of things out to you as well. It takes a while to be free. It takes a while to get there. And the question is, when it hasn't gotten there yet, what do we do? What is the role we have to play? Even if we weren't here, my family wasn't here in the 1860s, 70s, 80s, or 90s. Many of us weren't. We had not come over from other countries yet. What is the role that we play? Last week I challenged you. I want to make it clear. I could use this as a bully pulpit. If you were here, we could have a conversation. Even if you couldn't talk, we could have it through your faces and your reactions. But you're there, and I don't want you to tune out. So I don't want to use it as a bully pulpit, but I want to use it to challenge you. And so over the next few weeks, maybe longer, I want to ask you some questions. I want to share some stories, and I want to share my own biases and be honest with you. And it's my hope that that will inspire you to ask yourself some hard questions. I want to walk that balance, because in these incredibly challenging times, these torn times, these times of fear, and the fear is genuine. Whatever your politics are in this country, the fear is genuine for people who are stuck home alone and turn on Friday nights just to be reassured and comforted. I don't want to stop doing that. We will comfort you here. We want you to know that you're loved. We want you to know you're not being judged. At the same time, Judaism calls us to action. It challenges us. And so I hope you'll listen. Because I know there's some of you thinking right now, he's the rabbi. We let him give the big social action speech. We know he's a good guy. I hope you're thinking that. So once every few months, he's going to go social action, and we're either going to listen if we agree with him, or we're not if we don't. I hope you won't do that. I hope you will listen, and I hope you'll know we're trying to strike this balance. Why am I doing this? Because as I told you last week, I am struggling with my role. My inclination is to get out there in the street and march. That's just me. But I know it's not safe, I feel. In my case, I don't think it's safe because I'm a role model of safety at a time of the virus. And while I'm not judging those of you who wear masks and go and keep a distance, I don't really want to send you mixed messages while we keep this temple closed, even while I respect the right of those who make those choices. Okay? So I'm on these calls all week long. And today I was on a call with Rabbi Mecklenburger and a group of Christian clergy from across Fort Worth. Many wonderful ministers, prominent ministers who spend decades here, struggling with their role as leaders who have been separated from the black community. And we had these calls with Esdras Tucker, who is a Fort Worth-born mediator and facilitator on issues of race and reconciliation. Now, notice I said reconciliation. He's spoken around the world, including Northern Ireland. So not just on black-white relations, on issues of reconciliation. And we all asked him what to do, and he in turn asked us questions, one by one on these Zoom calls, and we're meeting every week on Fridays, Friday mornings, the best time for a rabbi, but it's good. It's framing me. He's asking us hard questions about ourselves. And when we ask what we should do, he says, the African American community, the black, they've been working on this. And what they need from you is for you to talk to your communities, because they're tired of telling their story. I thought about what he said. They're tiring of telling their story. And so as I go through this journey, I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to share it with you because I'm trying to figure this out myself. So question number one this week. How would we feel if we had to keep re-explaining the Holocaust? Now, I know what you're thinking, Rabbi, we are tired because we have to keep re-explaining the Holocaust in Texas. That's why we build museums in every state. That's why we keep telling the story. That's why we make sure that our government in Texas, our local government, that's why we're so glad that they do all they can to make sure the public and private school students are going to the Holocaust museums in Houston and Dallas, and they're learning the story. So imagine how you feel when you get a call that someone made a Jew and money joke at your children's school or drew a swastika, and you go to the principal and the principal says, "What's the big deal?" Now, I know you experience this because every year parents of our religious school students tell me this. They pull their hair out and say, "Why must I explain this again?" How do you feel when once again people yell Zionism is racism? And you have to explain that they're two totally different things. I imagine we're exhausted. How do we feel when someone who thinks they're loving us gets up and says, "I love you Jews, you're the best, man. I would always put my money with a Jew." And they mean it as a compliment. How do you handle it? What do you do? I'm sure you're tired of having to re-explain. And Esdras Tucker said, we're tired of explaining. So what you need to do is have these conversations. You need to raise them with others. And so some of what I want to do in the next few weeks is ask you to be honest with yourself. It's not easy. Brian, do you have bias? I don't have bias. I grew up in New York City. Until I start to ask myself how I look at different people at different times. Are there embedded things that rub me that I don't want to admit to? I don't want to throw that too much at you, but I want to ask you some questions in the next 2 weeks, and I hope you'll at least give it a listen. And I don't think it's fair to get up here in an empty sanctuary and make you listen and judge you, and I'm not judging you. So I'd rather ask you questions. I'd rather give you things to think about, and I hope you'll be open. So I want to ask you about a contradiction some of us experience. Here is the contradiction that I think some of us feel as Jews. And it gets to the question of what is our role? It has been said by many in the black community that America can never fully heal until there is acknowledgement, apology, and atonement. Acknowledgement, apology. Okay, we acknowledge, we apology. What is atonement? What is atonement if we weren't there? As some of you know, on May 31st, 1921, a man in Tulsa was accused of harassing a white woman. there was a neighborhood in Tulsa that was known as the Black Wall Street. It was one of the wealthiest African American areas in America. The white community attacked that area. They dropped Molotov cocktails from above. They burned down the community. They killed thousands. They decimated it. They were never reimbursed, repatriated in any way. And we can say, well, it's 99 years ago. We weren't there. Imagine that. Imagine the feeling of the descendants of that community. We say, why don't they move on and get over it? What do they expect from us? So I want to point out the difference between Germany and Poland. Okay? I want to ask you a personal question. Not all of you know this. Germany gave millions of dollars to the state of Israel. Now that doesn't cleanse Germany of their sins, but they gave thousands of dollars in repayment, in payment back, reparations to the new state of Israel as some minimal way to atone for the sins of the Holocaust. And they're still paying, some of them, in different plans and ways they give money, even though some of the grandchildren are opposed to what happened, are horrified what happened, have moved to Israel, have volunteered their time. They're still paying, even though they had nothing to do with it. Poland, on the other hand, has never taken responsibility. Poland has made it a crime to suggest they were anything but victims and had nothing to do with the Holocaust. If you go to Poland and say, you guys, you killed Jews and it's your fault, they will say, we are victims, we had no choice, and if they wish to create an international incident, their law will allow them to throw you in jail for hate speech. And I want you to take a moment and think about how that makes you feel. Now, if you say that's fair, I have no problem with that, I completely understand. But I'm going to speak about myself. I think that's terrible. And I think the shame of Poland and a number of other European countries is that the blood of Jews is still on their hands. Not every individual Pole, but as a country that killed and abetted killing more Jews than Germany. They have not yet acknowledged, apologized, or atoned. Even those who had nothing to do with it were never born. Now, if you believe that, what does it ask of a country that has never properly atoned? I want you to think about that. I want you to think about what we are asked as Jews. One of the comments I got this week from a number of people, good people, as we had honest conversations, as they really opened up, they said to me, Rabbi, what's up with Black Lives Matter? All lives matter. And I shared this with them. Or they said, I'm much more worried about anti-Semitism. You have to take care of your own first. So I want to remind you about what Hillel said. And Rabbi Charlie Sidron Walker, even though he didn't say it, I have to give him credit. He said to me this week, people say, if I am only for myself, if I'm not for myself, who will be for me? But if I am only for myself, what am I? And he said to me, why do people offer it as one or the other? When you talk to Jews, they either say, if I'm only for myself, what am I? I have to help others. Or if I'm not for myself, who will be with me? So I've got to take care of myself before I take care of you. But the thing is, Hillel, quoted in the Talmud and Pirkei Avot, didn't make it a choice. It's not either or. He didn't say, be for yourself and then be for others. He connected them as one. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? And if I am only for myself, what am I? We cannot put one before the other. The content of our character is tied together. And so in the coming weeks, and taking less time than this, I'm going to pose questions. I'm going to share some stories of myself or others. I am not here to put you on the spot. If we were together in a room, we would sit together and we'd ask questions and we would go on a journey. And I would hope that we come out of it ready to educate others, because that is what the Black community is asking right now. They're saying, okay, if you can't march, Okay, if you can't run over to the church and tell them we're here, what we really need is for you to ask yourself questions and be our advocates. And if we can't be together the next few months, we can ask ourselves some questions and we begin a conversation. And that's how we can start. And that's what I'm going to be doing, and I hope you will trust me enough to listen, to know that I might share some personal reactions. And what I'll ask of you is to be completely open. Later you can say, I agree with you, Rabbi, I don't agree with you, I think you're off. But I hope you'll really listen, and I hope you'll give it a real hearing, and think about the work that we need to do as people who have wandered in the desert and people who carry the Torah on our back and all that it teaches.
Amen.
We offer a prayer for those who are in need of healing, our country, our people. One day may we truly once again be the United States of America, not just the states of America. Certainly we all have work to do, and that work will only come when we're all completely honest with each other and ourselves and our communities, because that's the only way we're going to move forward. On this Shabbat, we mention the names also, in addition to countless nameless victims, of Annette Dover, Charlotte Fiwas, Stacy Lewis, Jeffrey Mark, Maria Schoen, Graham Baker, Elliot Blumberg, Katrina Joy Rogers, Eddie Sankery, Debbie Friedman, Claire Brunhild, Mike Fox, Ann Westerman, William Westerman, Robert Bogan, Ellen Alcon, Christopher Long, Brendan Levy, Leslie Arnov, Ted Mack, Karen Delavan, Lillian Deutsch, Kevin Delavan, my apologies, Peter Levy, one name here, Russ Schultz, and Jenny Solomon.
Mi sheberach avotenu mekor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
So as we prepare for Shabbat songs, I want you to get ready for Shabbat. And if you haven't done it already, either take off your shoes and stretch your feet, or maybe you want to get up and walk over to your fridge and open it up and take your favorite sweet treat, or in the pantry, whether it's chocolate or potato chips. If you've been really good if you've been bad all week, I don't know what to tell you. But if you've been really good all week, now is the night. Pull it over, sit down in front of your phone, your laptop, your iPad. Have a good, sweet Shabbat drink. If you're a Scotch drinker, I don't know, go pick a bottle out or just stretch. If you're not home alone, give somebody a hug. If you're a cat or dog owner, grab them and put them on your lap. Whatever it is, just take a moment and go do that, and come back ready for Shabbat as we start singing our Kabbalat Shabbat songs.
Mayafe hayom, Shabbat shalom. Mayafe hayom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Baruch Hu next.
Baruch Hu next.
Okay. Page 146, or in your flip book, page 164, the call to worship, the Baruch Hu, that prepares us for the Shema.
Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due now and forever. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Then joining us on page 152. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work. Whether you are tired or you are rested, let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God, who led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. Page 158 in the prayer book, 176. If you are ready, take that step, that first step into the sea of freedom and possibility.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar bar kodesh, nora tahilot osef ele, nora tahilot osef ele, malchutecha raud banecha, bochei ayam, לפני משה ומרים, זה ליאנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, לעולם ועד.
O God, as Shabbat approaches, help us to lie down in peace, to experience in this Shabbat a sense of your comfort and your shelter. Guide us, protect us under the shadow of your wings. Bring our country and the world back from illness, war, famine, and sorrow to a sense of peace and understanding and wholeness. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people, Israel, and over Jerusalem. Page 162, 180 in the flip book.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. בני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Adonai, open up our lips that our mouths may declare your praise. Help us to find the words.
Adonai, sefatav tiftach, ufi agita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu, V'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'nochei HaKol, וצוחר חסדי אבות באימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע. מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים. זאת נופלים ברופא חולים, ומעטיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדום מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יחולסך. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its purpose and promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh Shabbat. Praised are you, O God, who sanctifies Shabbat in partnership with us.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu b'amecha Yisrael, utafiltam me'ahava tekabel, utahil ratzon tamid, utahil ratzon tamid, avodat Yisrael amecha. Baruch atah Adonai, שאותך לבדך בעיר נעבוד, שאותך לבדך בעיר נעבוד.
Page 586, also page 604. If you wish to rise, Aleinu, as we look toward a better future.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו חיים, וגורלנו כהמונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד.
We turn to page 598, 616, if you're following in the flip book. This reading is by Rabbi Herschel Mack, a reflection for Kaddish. When fears multiply and danger threatens, when sickness comes and death confronts us, it is God's blessing of shalom that sustains us and upholds us, lightening our burden, dispelling our worry, restoring our strength, renewing our hope, reviving us. Oh God, bring us that blessing of shalom, as on this Shabbat we think of all who are in mourning. We mention the names of Rosalind Ettinger, Alice Ash, Paula Mack Zieselman, Dorothy Shelby, Ellen Mack, Eliezer Les Deutsch, father of Eric Deutsch, our Brotherhood president, grandfather of Nicole Deutsch, great-grandfather of Julianne. Eric is in New Jersey for the funeral of his father. As he mentioned to me, the restrictions there are such that you can't even get out of the car. You watch the funeral from your car. This is on the bittersweet. On the one hand, his father, Les, lived 99 years and 4 months, and almost all of them were healthy and strong. He never missed a Shabbat. He attended every bar mitzvah. He was a stalwart of his congregation. It makes it a little more bitter in the bittersweet, because it is hard for him to think about all those who would have turned up at the synagogue if they were able to be together. And so another reminder of the emotional and physical toll this virus takes. Eric, our prayers are with you here tonight, where you are in New Jersey. We thank you and your family for the gifts that you have given to the synagogue. And whether you know it or not, our prayers are here with you as you are there with your Father's community. We also add the names of those, the yahrzeits, the anniversaries of their deaths that are acknowledged and observed this week. We mention Abraham Anilik, Rose Nolman Bilski, Gus Bastilis, Dave Chikotsky, Isidore Echt, Brian David Fritzer, M. Gaston, Rose Haas Gilbert, Baluma Goldman, Rebecca Lind Horowitz, Sam Kahn, Ruby Cantor, Paula Kelfer, Joel Clar, Louis Lesnick, Julius Lurie, Sylvia Lusky, Amy Murrowfeld, Herman Parker, Joseph Maurice Polsky, David Rausch, Shirley Schloss, Jerome Selig, Rick Simon, Jackson Smith, Jan Stanton, Lillian Steinbeck, Ann Coles Tomlinson, Marianne Towns, Phyllis Weiss, Fanny Winterman Wolf, Lillian Steinbeck, and for all who are in mourning this Shabbat, prayers for strength as you reflect on those you have lost, as we say together. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, bialmal divrach yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'agalal v'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevarach leolam u'lamei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shmei d'kudsha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiram b'almal v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam levracha, may their memories be for blessing. May their memories bring strength to the broken, to all who remember wherever they are.
Amen.
Amen. John, thank you again. Jeff in the back, thank you again. Thank you for this Shabbat gift. And to all who are remembering, we pray for your strength. To all who are ill, get strong. Our closing song you will recognize. If you didn't hear it last week, this song is close to our heart. We share it on this Juneteenth. We share it as everywhere people march for justice. A reminder that this song, which begins as a spiritual, was said by Martin Luther King not only in Memphis, the day before his death, but 3 years earlier at Temple Israel of Hollywood, as he spoke about the sacred ties of the Black and Jewish community and the importance to march together.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall live in peace one day.
Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you.